Victor Medeiros had lost hope, but a chance discovery of a twin daughter, Ana, reconnected him to life. As they battled cancer together, love turned loss into strength, inspiring a foundation that gave hope to others. Can love truly transform grief into miracles? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. Victor Medeiros had everything money could buy, but none of it mattered anymore. His beautiful mansion felt empty. The expensive cars sat unused in the garage, and his successful business couldn't fill the hole in his heart. 6 months ago, he had lost his only daughter, Isabella, to cancer. She was only 16 when she died. That morning, Victor sat in his home office staring at Isabella's photo on his desk. She had the same warm brown eyes as her mother, Maria, who had passed away during childbirth. The doctors had told them it was a complicated delivery, and while they managed to save Isabella, they couldn't save Maria or the second baby. At least, that's what he had believed all these years. Mr. Medeiros, his housekeeper, Rosa, called from the doorway. "You haven't eaten anything all day." Victor barely looked up. "I'm not hungry, Rosa." "You need to eat something," she insisted, setting down a plate of sandwich and fruit. "And I think you need to get out of this house. All you do is work. And sit here looking at pictures." Rosa had been with the family since before Isabella was born. She was more than just a housekeeper, she was family. Which was why she could say things nobody else dared to say to Victor Medeiros. "What's the point?" Victor asked, his voice heavy with grief. "There's nothing out there for me anymore." Rosa walked over and put her hand on his shoulder. "You know what Isabella would say if she saw you like this? She'd want you to keep living, to help other children who need someone like you in their lives." Victor picked up Isabella's photo, running his thumb across the glass. She was smiling in the picture, taken just months before they discovered the cancer. "Other children?" "Yes," Rosa said gently. "There are so many children out there who need love and care, children in orphanages who dream of having a father like you." For the first time in months, something stirred in Victor's heart. He remembered how Isabella always wanted to help others. Even in the hospital, she would share her toys with other sick children. "Maybe," he said slowly, "maybe you're right." The next morning, Victor made a decision. He called his assistant and asked her to find information about local orphanages. She came back with several options, but one caught his attention: St. Mary's Home for Children, just an hour outside the city. "It's one of the oldest orphanages in the state," his assistant explained. "They take excellent care of the children, but they're always in need of support." Victor adjusted his tie in the mirror. He hadn't dressed formally in months, preferring to work from home in casual clothes. But today felt different. Today he was going to honor Isabella's memory by helping other children. The drive to St. Mary's was long and quiet. Victor thought about turning back several times. What if this was too soon? What if seeing all those children made him miss Isabella even more? But something kept him going, like an invisible force, pulling him forward. St. Mary's was a large old building with well-maintained gardens. Children played on the swings and slides in the front yard, their laughter carrying across the morning air. Victor parked his car and sat there for a moment, gathering his courage. Sister Margaret, the head of the orphanage, greeted him at the entrance. She was a kind-looking woman in her 60s, with gentle eyes and a warm smile. "Mr. Medeiros, welcome to St. Mary's," she said, leading him inside. "We're so grateful for your interest in our children." Victor followed her through the corridors, past classrooms where children were studying, and playrooms filled with toys. Sister Margaret told him about their programs, their needs, and their successes, but Victor found it hard to concentrate. Every child's face reminded him of Isabella. "Would you like to meet some of our children?" Sister Margaret asked. Victor nodded, not trusting himself to speak. They walked into a large room where several children were doing arts and crafts. Some looked up curiously at the visitor, while others remained focused on their projects. And then Victor saw her. At first he thought his mind was playing tricks on him. Sitting by the window, drawing in a sketchbook, was a girl who looked exactly like Isabella. The same dark hair, the same delicate features, even the way she bit her lower lip while concentrating. It was all identical. Victor grabbed Sister Margaret's arm. "That girl, by the window, "Oh, that's Anna," Sister Margaret said. "She's 16, one of our sweetest girls. She's been with us since she was a baby." Victor couldn't breathe. The room started spinning. It couldn't be possible, could it? The timing, the age, the resemblance. It was too much to be a coincidence. "Since she was a baby," he managed to ask. "Do you know anything about her background?" Sister Margaret's expression turned thoughtful. "She was brought to us from City General Hospital. There was some confusion with her paperwork at birth. All we know is that her mother died in childbirth and there was no father listed." City General Hospital, the same hospital where Maria had died, where they told him he had lost one twin during delivery. Victor's legs felt weak and he had to sit down. "Mr. Medeiros, are you all right?" Sister Margaret asked, concerned. "I need to see her records," Victor said, his voice shaking. "Please. It's important." Sister Margaret must have seen something in his face, because she nodded slowly. "Come to my office. We'll look through her file together." As they walked away, Victor looked back one more time at Anna. She had looked up from her drawing and was watching him with curious eyes, Maria's eyes, Isabella's eyes. And in that moment, Victor Medeiros knew that his life was about to change, forever. Sister Margaret's office was small but neat, with filing cabinets lining one wall. She pulled out Anna's folder and placed it on the desk between them. Victor's hands trembled as he opened it. "Here's all the information we have," Sister Margaret said. "The hospital records, her school reports, medical history." Victor's heart stopped when he saw the date on the hospital document. The exact same day Maria died, the day Isabella was born. The hospital was the same too, but what made him gasp was the doctor's name at the bottom of the form, Dr. James Henderson. "Dr. Henderson," Victor whispered. "He was the doctor who delivered my daughter." Sister Margaret leaned forward. "Mr. Medeiros, what are you saying?" Victor pulled out his wallet and showed her a photo of Isabella. Sister Margaret's eyes widened. "Oh my goodness, she looks exactly like Anna." "They're twins," Victor said, his voice breaking. "They have to be. The hospital told me the second baby died during delivery, but they lied. Something went wrong that day, and instead of telling me the truth, they sent my daughter here." Sister Margaret covered her mouth with her hand. This is extraordinary, but Mr. Medeiros, we need to be absolutely certain before we say anything to Anna. She's a sensitive girl, and this would be life-changing for her." "I'll get DNA tests done," Victor said firmly. "I'll hire the best lawyers. I'll find Dr. Henderson. I need to know what happened that day." Over the next few weeks, Victor threw himself into the investigation. His lawyer found Dr. Henderson, living in Florida, retired from medical practice. At first, the doctor refused to talk, but when threatened with legal action, he finally confessed the truth. "There was a mix-up in the nursery," Dr. Henderson admitted over the phone, his voice heavy with guilt. "One of the nurses accidentally switched the ID bands. When we realized what had happened, we panicked. The hospital was going through a lawsuit at the time, and we couldn't risk another scandal. So we told you one baby had died and we sent the other to the orphanage." Victor wanted to reach through the phone and strangle the man. "You destroyed my family," he said, his voice shaking with rage. "You separated my daughters. Do you know what that did to us?" The DNA test results came back positive. Anna was, without a doubt, his daughter. Victor sat in his car outside St. Mary's, staring at the envelope. Now came the hardest part, telling Anna. Sister Margaret had arranged for them to use her office. Anna walked in, looking nervous but curious. She was wearing a simple blue dress, her dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, just like Isabella used to wear hers. "Anna, please sit down, sister," Margaret said gently. "Mr. Medeiros has something very important to tell you." Victor took a deep breath. "Anna, what I'm about to tell you might sound unbelievable, but I promise you it's the truth. 16 years ago, my wife Maria was pregnant with twins. He told her everything about Maria, about Isabella, about the hospital's terrible mistake." Anna sat very still, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. When he showed her the DNA test results, her hands started shaking. I have a family," she whispered. "I had a sister." "Yes," Victor said softly. And if you'll let me, I'd like to be your father. I know I can't make up for all the years we lost, but Anna burst into tears. Victor wasn't sure if he should comfort her or give her space, but she made the decision for him. She threw herself into his arms, sobbing against his chest. Victor held her close, his own tears falling freely. Sister Margaret quietly excused herself, leaving father and daughter alone to process their emotions. "Tell me about her," Anna said finally, wiping her eyes. "Tell me about Isabella." Victor smiled through his tears. "She was amazing, just like you. She loved to draw too. She wanted to be an artist. She was kind and brave even when she got sick." Sick? Anna's eyes widened. What happened to her? Victor's heart clenched. He hadn't planned to talk about the cancer so soon, but Anna deserved to know the truth about her sister. "She had cancer," he said softly. "We fought it for 2 years, but we lost her 6 months ago." Anna's face crumpled. "I never got to meet her, my own sister, and I never even knew she existed." "But she left so much behind," Victor said, squeezing her hand. "Her art, her journals, her photos. Through them you can get to know her and—" He hesitated. "If you want to, you could come home with me. See her room, see the life that should have been yours too." Anna looked around the office at the life she had always known. Can I think about it? This is all so much to take in." "Of course," Victor said quickly. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. Not this time." As Victor drove home that evening, his mind was racing. He had a daughter again, a miracle he never expected. But along with the joy came fear. Fear of losing her too, fear of not being good enough, fear of the unknown. Rosa was waiting for him when he got home. One look at his face told her everything. "It's true, isn't it?" she asked. "She's your daughter?" Victor nodded, collapsing into a chair. "She's so much like Isabella, Rosa. It's like seeing a ghost. But she's real, she's really here." Rosa put her arm around his shoulders. "God works in mysterious ways, Mr. Medeiros. Maybe this is his way of giving both of you a second chance." That night, Victor couldn't sleep. He stood in Isabella's room untouched since her death and imagined Anna there. Would she want to change things? Would she feel like she was living in her sister's shadow? He picked up one of Isabella's journals and opened it to a random page. The words jumped out at him. "I wish I wasn't an only child. Sometimes I dream I have a sister, someone who understands me completely. Isn't that silly?" Victor closed the journal, his heart aching. "No, sweetheart," he whispered. "It wasn't silly at all. You did have a sister, and now I'm going to take care of her for both of us." After a week of thinking it over, Anna decided to move in with Victor. Sister Margaret helped her pack her few belongings, some clothes, her sketchbooks, and a teddy bear she'd had since she was a baby. "Are you sure you'll be okay?" Sister Margaret asked, helping Anna fold her last sweater. "I think so," Anna said. "It's scary, but he's my father, my real father, and I want to know everything about my family, about Isabella." Victor arrived to pick her up in his Mercedes. Some of the younger kids pressed their faces against the windows, watching, in awe as Anna got into the fancy car. She waved goodbye to everyone, trying not to cry. "Ready?" Victor asked gently. Anna nodded, clutching her backpack. "Ready." The drive to Victor's mansion was quiet. Anna stared out the window, watching the city change from her familiar neighborhood to the fancy streets where Victor lived. When they pulled up to the iron gates of the mansion, her eyes went wide. "This is where you live?" she asked in disbelief. Victor smiled. "Where we live now. I know it's a big change from St. Mary's." Rosa was waiting at the front door. She pulled Anna into a warm hug as soon as she stepped out of the car. "Welcome home, querida," she said, tears in her eyes. "I've prepared your room, unless you'd prefer to stay in the guest room." Victor hadn't told Anna yet that her room was right next to Isabella's. He watched nervously as Rosa led her upstairs. The room was beautiful, freshly painted in soft blue with new furniture and a big window overlooking the garden. But Anna's attention was immediately drawn to the closed door next to her room. "Is that?" she asked quietly. Victor nodded. That was Isabella's room. Would you like to see it? Anna hesitated, then nodded. Victor opened the door slowly. The room was exactly as Isabella had left it. Paintings on the walls, books on the shelves, photos everywhere. Anna walked in slowly, taking everything in. She stopped in front of a large photo on the wall, Isabella at the beach, laughing at the camera. "We really did look exactly alike," she whispered. "You even laughed the same way," Victor said softly. Anna turned to him. "Can you tell me more about her? About what she was like when she was sick?" Victor sat down on Isabella's bed, patting the space next to him. Anna joined him, and he began to share stories about her sister's battle with cancer. Her courage, her humor, how she never gave up hope even in the hardest moments. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of changes. Victor enrolled Anna in the same private school Isabella had attended. He took her shopping for new clothes, bought her art supplies, and tried to give her everything she had missed out on. But sometimes, late at night, he would hear her crying in her room. One night he knocked softly on her door. "Anna, can I come in?" She was sitting by the window, holding one of Isabella's journals. "I keep reading these," she said, "trying to know her, but sometimes I feel like I'm living in her shadow, like I'm trying to replace her." Victor sat next to her. "You could never replace her, Anna. You're your own person. Yes, you look alike, and yes, you share some similarities, but you're you, and that's exactly who I want you to be." Anna wiped her eyes. "Really?" "Really," Victor assured her. "Now how about some hot chocolate? Rosa's special recipe always helps when you can't sleep." But as they headed downstairs, Anna suddenly stumbled. Victor caught her before she fell. "Are you okay?" he asked, concerned. "Just dizzy for a moment," Anna said. "I'm fine now." Victor tried to push away the fear that gripped his heart. It was probably nothing, just tired from all the changes. But that night, he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about how Isabella's symptoms had started, with dizzy spells that they had dismissed as nothing serious. The next morning, he called Dr. Sarah Chen, the oncologist who had treated Isabella. "I need to schedule a checkup," he said, "for my daughter Anna." "Anna?" Dr. Chen sounded confused. "Mr. Medeiros, I don't understand." Victor explained the situation. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "Mr. Medeiros," Dr. Chen said finally, "given the genetic nature of Isabella's cancer, we should definitely run some tests, just to be safe." Victor made the appointment but decided not to tell Anna yet. He didn't want to frighten her. Instead, he threw himself into making her feel at home. He hung her drawings next to Isabella's in the living room. He learned to cook her favorite meals. He tried to make up for 16 years of lost time. One evening, they were looking through old photo albums when Anna asked, "Do you have any pictures of my mother?" Victor pulled out a special album he kept in his desk. "Here she is, Maria Elena Medeiros." Anna traced her mother's face in the photos. She was beautiful. Did she know about losing me? "No," Victor said sadly. "She died thinking both her babies were fine. Maybe that was better. The pain would have killed her." "Tell me how you met her," Anna said, curling up next to him on the couch. Victor smiled, remembering. "We met at an art gallery. She was a painter like you and Isabella. She could light up a room just by walking into it." As he told Anna stories about her mother, Victor noticed she was rubbing her temples again. The headache she'd mentioned that morning hadn't gone away. "Maybe we should have Dr. Chen take a look at you," he suggested carefully. "Just a regular checkup." "Dr. Chen?" Anna looked up. Wasn't she Isabella's doctor?" Victor nodded slowly. "Yes, she's very good, and she knows our family history." Anna was quiet for a long moment. "You're worried, aren't you? That I might get sick too?" "I just want to be careful," Victor said, "to make sure you're healthy." Anna looked at Isabella's photo on the wall, then back at Victor. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll go. But promise you'll be with me?" "Every step of the way," Victor promised, pulling her close. "Every single step." That night, after Anna went to bed, Victor sat in his office staring at Maria's picture. "Please," he whispered, "please don't let it happen again." I can't lose. Her too. Not when I just found her. But the fear was there, growing stronger with each passing day, and soon it would become impossible to ignore. The waiting room at Dr. Chen's office brought back painful memories for Victor. He had spent countless hours here with Isabella, always hoping for good news, always trying to stay positive. Now he was back with Anna, and his heart was pounding with fear. "Mr. Medeiros," the nurse called. "Dr. Chen is ready to see you now." Anna squeezed Victor's hand as they walked into the office. Dr. Chen greeted them warmly, but Victor could see the concern in her eyes as she looked at Anna. "It's remarkable," Dr. Chen said, looking between Anna and the photo of Isabella in her file. "If I didn't know better, I think I was seeing Isabella again." She asked Anna about her symptoms, the headaches, the dizziness, the fatigue. Anna answered, honestly, while Victor's stomach twisted into knots. They were the same symptoms Isabella had shown. "I'd like to run some tests," Dr. Chen said carefully. "Given your family history, we need to be thorough." The next few days were a blur of blood. Tests, scans, and anxious waiting. Victor tried to keep Anna's spirits up, but she could sense his fear. "It's the same, isn't it?" she asked one evening. "What I'm feeling. It's what Isabella felt at the beginning." Victor couldn't lie to her. "Yes, but that doesn't mean that I have cancer too," Anna finished for him. "But it could, right?" Before Victor could answer, Rosa called them for dinner. She had made Anna's favorite pasta, trying to keep things normal while they waited for the test results. They were halfway through dinner when Victor's phone rang. It was Dr. Chen. "Can you come to my office first thing tomorrow morning?" she asked. Victor could hear the tension in her voice. "I have Anna's results." Victor looked at Anna across the table, chatting with Rosa about her art class. How could he face losing another daughter? The next morning, they sat in Dr. Chen's office as she explained the test results. The news was exactly what Victor had feared. Anna had the same type of cancer that had taken Isabella. "But we caught it earlier this time," Dr. Chen said quickly, seeing Victor's face. "Much earlier than with Isabella. That gives us more treatment options." Anna sat very still, her face pale. "Am I going to die?" she asked quietly. "No," Victor said fiercely before Dr. Chen could answer. "No, you're not. We're going to fight this, together." Dr. Chen laid out the treatment plan. Aggressive chemotherapy, targeted radiation, experimental drugs that hadn't been available when Isabella was sick. "It won't be easy," she warned. "But you're young and strong, Anna, and we know more now than we did before." Back home, Anna went straight to Isabella's room. She stood there looking at her sister's things, the half-finished paintings, the books, with bookmarks still in them, the dreams left unfulfilled. "I don't want to leave you like she did," she told Victor, who had followed her. "I just found you." Victor pulled her into his arms. "Listen to me. You are not Isabella. Your story is going to be different. We know what we're dealing with now, and we're going to beat this." That night, Victor called everyone he knew in the medical field. He reached out to specialists around the world. He would spare no expense, try every treatment, do whatever it took to save Anna. Rosa found him in his office at 3 in the morning, surrounded by medical papers and research studies. "Mr. Medeiros," she said gently, "you need to rest." "I can't," he said, his voice breaking. "I can't lose her too, Rosa. I can't go through this again." "Then don't think of it as going through the same thing," Rosa said firmly. "This is a different fight. Anna is different. And this time we know what we're up against." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of appointments and preparations. Victor converted one of the downstairs rooms into a comfortable space for Anna during her treatment. He hired the best private nurses, ordered special equipment, and made sure everything was perfect. Anna watched all this with a mix of gratitude and guilt. "You don't have to do all this," she told him. "Yes, I do," Victor said. "I wasn't there for the first 16 years of your life. I'm going to be there for every second now." The day before her first chemotherapy session, Anna asked to visit St. Mary's. She wanted to tell Sister Margaret herself about her diagnosis. Sister Margaret cried when Anna told her the news, holding her tight. "We'll pray for you, dear one," she promised. Every day. As they drove home, Anna was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I've been reading more of Isabella's journals. She wrote about being scared, but she also wrote about how she never felt alone because of you, how you made her laugh even on the worst days. Victor gripped the steering wheel tighter. I tried. Sometimes I felt so helpless. That's what I wanted to know, Anna said, that even when things get really bad, you'll still be there. That you won't give up. Never, Victor promised. We're going to make new journals, Anna, and yours are going to have a different ending. That evening, Anna sat at her desk and opened a new journal. On the first page, she wrote, "Dear Isabella, I never got to meet you, but I'm about to walk the same path you did. I'm scared, but I'm not alone. Dad is here, and through him I feel like you're here too. This is my story, and I promise you, I'm going to fight with everything I have." Victor stood in the doorway watching her write. Tomorrow the real battle would begin, but tonight he thanked God for this second chance. Not just to save his daughter, but to be the father she needed him to be. The moon shone through Anna's window, casting a gentle light on her face as she wrote. In that moment, she looked so much like Isabella that Victor's heart ached. But this time things would be different. This time he wouldn't let go. The first day of chemotherapy was harder than Anna expected. Even though Victor had prepared the house with every comfort possible, nothing could really prepare her for how it felt. "It burns," she whispered as the medication flowed through the IV. The private nurse Victor had hired, Nancy, adjusted the drip rate. "I know, sweetheart," Nancy said kindly. "Try to take slow breaths. Your father brought some ginger tea. It might help with the nausea." Victor hadn't left Anna's side since the treatment began. He sat next to her bed, holding her hand, telling her stories about her mother to distract her from the discomfort. "Did I tell you about the time your mother painted the entire living room purple without telling me?" he asked, trying to make her smile. Anna managed a weak laugh. "What did you do?" "What could I do?" She said it was her artistic vision. "I lived with purple walls for 2 years until she finally agreed to repaint them." As the days passed, the side effects of the chemotherapy became more severe. Anna's beautiful dark hair, so like Isabella's, began falling out in clumps. One morning, Anna stood in front of her bathroom mirror, crying as another handful of hair came out in her brush. Victor found her there, shoulders shaking with sobs. "I want to shave it off," she said firmly, wiping her eyes. "All of it. I can't stand watching it fall out piece by piece." Victor nodded. "I'll call the hairdresser." "No," Anna said. "I want you to do it." So that afternoon in the garden where the sun was shining, Victor carefully shaved Anna's head, while Rosa and Nancy watched, offering support. When he was done, Anna ran her hand over her smooth scalp and managed a brave smile. "How do I look?" she asked. "Beautiful," Victor said, his voice thick with emotion. "Just beautiful." Rosa came forward with a soft blue headscarf. "I got this for you, Querida, and look, I had something embroidered on it." On the edge of the scarf was Anna's name, with a small butterfly next to it. Anna hugged Rosa tight. "Thank you." That night, Victor couldn't sleep. He went to check on Anna and found her room empty. His heart stopped for a moment until he saw the light on in Isabella's room. Anna was sitting on Isabella's bed looking at her sister's collection of headscarves and wigs. She liked the bright colors, Anna said, touching a rainbow-patterned scarf. Her journal said they made her feel less like a patient and more like herself. Victor sat next to her. She was right. The colors suited her just like they'll suit you. "Dad," Anna's voice was small, "what if the treatment doesn't work? What if I follow her path all the way to the end?" Victor pulled her close. "That's not going to happen. Do you know why? Because we caught it earlier. Because there are new treatments available. Because you're strong, just like she was, but with better odds." But later that week, Anna's first follow-up tests weren't as encouraging as they'd hoped. The cancer was responding to the treatment, but not as quickly as Dr. Chen wanted. "We need to try something more aggressive," Dr. Chen explained in her office. "There's a new experimental treatment. It's intense, but the success rates are promising." "What are the side effects?" Victor asked, already knowing they wouldn't be good. "Severe," Dr. Chen admitted. "But Anna is young and strong. I believe she can handle it. Anna spoke up from her chair. Will it give me a better chance than Isabella had? Dr. Chen nodded. Significantly better. This treatment wasn't available when your sister was sick. Then I want to do it, Anna said firmly. The new treatment was brutal. Anna was sick constantly, barely able to keep any food down. Victor hired more nurses to provide round-the-clock care. He had exercise equipment brought in for the days when Anna felt strong enough to move. He even had a small art studio set up next to her treatment room. One day, while Anna was sleeping between treatments, Rosa found Victor in his office, looking older than she'd ever seen him. Why is this happening again? He asked her. Haven't we suffered enough? Rosa sat down across from him. Maybe God isn't testing our suffering, she said softly. Maybe he's testing our strength, our capacity to love and hope, even in the darkest times. Victor looked at the photos on his desk. Maria, Isabella, and now Anna. 3 loves of his life. 3 battles he couldn't bear to lose. She's different from Isabella in so many ways, he said. She's quieter, more thoughtful. She likes classical music while Isabella loved rock. She reads poetry while Isabella preferred novels. But they have the same spirit, that refusal to give up. Then we won't give up either, Rosa said firmly. That evening, Anna felt strong enough to sit in the garden. Victor brought out some art supplies and they sat together painting the sunset. I've been thinking, Anna said, mixing colors on her palette. When I get better, I want to start a foundation for kids with cancer who don't have families to take care of them like I do. Victor's heart swelled with pride and pain. Here she was, fighting for her life and still thinking of helping others. We'll do it together, he promised. We'll name it after you and Isabella. Anna added a bright streak of orange to her sunset. Do you think she would have liked me? Isabella? Liked you? Victor smiled. She would have adored you. You two would have been inseparable. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the garden, Anna leaned her head on Victor's shoulder. I'm not going anywhere, she whispered. I promise. Victor wrapped his arm around her thin shoulders, praying she could keep that promise. The night was falling, but tomorrow would bring another day of fighting, another day of hope, a day of love proving stronger than fear. 3 months into Anna's treatment, everything changed. What started as a simple fever quickly turned into something much more serious. Her immune system is severely compromised, Dr. Chen explained to Victor in the hospital corridor. They had rushed Anna to the emergency room in the middle of the night when her temperature wouldn't go down. The aggressive treatment we've been using, it's left her vulnerable to infections. Victor watched through the window as nurses in Dr. protective gear tended to Anna. She looked so small in the hospital bed, attached to monitors and IVs, just like Isabella in her final days. No, he whispered to himself. Not again. Not this time. Dr. Chen put her hand on his shoulder. Mr. Medeiros, we need to discuss our options. The infection is serious, and if we continue with the current treatment protocol... What are you saying? Victor demanded. I'm saying we might need to stop the cancer treatment temporarily to let her body fight this infection. But that gives the cancer a chance to spread. Victor felt the world spinning. It was the same impossible choice he had faced with Isabella, aggressive treatment that might kill her, or backing off and letting the cancer grow. Rosa arrived at the hospital with clean clothes for Anna and food for Victor. She found him sitting in the chapel, his head in his hands. She was doing so well, he said when Rosa sat next to him. The tumors were shrinking. She was painting again. She even started talking about going back to school. And she will do all those things again, Rosa said firmly. Anna is a fighter. Isabella was a fighter too, Victor said bitterly. Sometimes fighting isn't enough. Just then, Nancy, the private nurse, rushed into the chapel. Mr. Medeiros, Anna's asking for you. Victor ran to Anna's room. She was awake but weak, her face flushed with fever. Her voice was barely a whisper. Dad, I saw her. Who, sweetheart? Isabella, in my dream. She was telling me to hold on. It's not my time yet. Victor's eyes filled with tears. He took Anna's hot hand in his. She's right. You need to hold on. Over the next few days, Anna's condition got worse. The infection wasn't responding to antibiotics, and her fever kept spiking. Dr. Chen called in specialists from other hospitals. One evening, while Anna was sleeping, Victor overheard two nurses talking outside her room. "Poor man," one said, "to go through this twice." "I heard the other daughter died in this same hospital," the second nurse replied. "Same floor even." Victor wanted to scream. He couldn't lose Anna in the same place he had lost Isabella. He couldn't watch another daughter slip away. Sister Margaret came to visit, bringing cards and drawings from the children at St. Mary's. She sat with Victor in the hospital cafeteria, sharing a cup of terrible coffee. "When Anna first came to us," she said, "she was such a tiny baby. But even then she had this strength about her, like she knew she had a purpose in this world." "What purpose?" Victor asked. "To suffer like this?" Sister Margaret shook her head. "To show us what love really means, to bring hope where there was only grief, to complete your family's story." That night, Anna's fever finally broke. The new antibiotics were working, but they had lost precious time in her cancer treatment. Dr. Chen called a meeting with Victor and the other specialists. They sat around a conference table, looking at scan results and lab reports. "The infection is under control," Dr. Chen said, "but the cancer, it spread during the treatment break. We need to make a decision about how to proceed." One of the specialists, Dr. Harrison, spoke up. "There's a trial starting at Mayo Clinic, a new combination therapy that's showing promising results in cases like Anna's, but it's experimental and the side effects." "What kind of side effects?" Victor asked. "Severe," Dr. Harrison admitted, "and there's no guarantee it will work, but given how aggressive her cancer is, it might be her best chance." Victor thought about Isabella, how they had run out of options at the end, how he had promised himself that if he ever had another chance, he would fight harder, try everything possible. "How soon can we start?" "There's something else you should know," Dr. Chen said carefully. "The trial, insurance won't cover it. And given how expensive the treatment is, money is not an issue," Victor said firmly. "I'll sell everything I own if I have to." When Victor told Anna about the trial, she was quiet for a long time. Then she asked, "Would Isabella have had this chance if this treatment had been available then?" "Yes," Victor said, "but it wasn't ready in time for her." Anna squared her shoulders, looking so much like her sister in that moment. "Then I have to try, not just for me, but for her too." The arrangements were made quickly. Victor's private jet was prepared for the flight to Mayo Clinic. The doctors there were waiting for them. The night before they were due to leave, Anna asked to visit Isabella's grave. Victor wheeled her out to the cemetery in her wheelchair. The autumn leaves were falling, golden in the sunset. At the graveside, Anna placed a drawing she had made, two girls holding hands with angel wings. "I'm not ready to join you yet, sister," she whispered. "I have too. Much living left to do." Victor stood behind the wheelchair, his hands on Anna's shoulders, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of hope and fear. Tomorrow they would begin a new chapter in their fight. In his pocket was Isabella's old lucky charm, a small silver butterfly she had always kept with her during treatments. Tonight he would give it to Anna, because sometimes, when you're fighting for your life, you need all the luck, love, and courage you can get. And as they sat there in the growing darkness, Victor made a silent promise to both his daughters, the one he had lost and the one he was still fighting to save. He would not give up. Not now. Not ever. The Mayo Clinic was different from their local hospital. Everything felt more advanced, more promising. Anna held Isabella's silver butterfly charm tight as they walked into the gleaming building. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the lead researcher for the trial, met them personally. She was younger than Victor expected, with kind eyes and a confident manner. "Anna's case is exactly the type we're looking for in this trial," she explained, showing them slides of how the new treatment worked. "The combination therapy targets cancer cells in a way we've never been able to before." Victor listened intently, holding Anna's hand. "And the success rate? In our preliminary trials, We've seen complete remission in 60% of cases, similar to Anna's. But I have to be honest, the side effects can be extreme. Anna spoke up. Worse than what I've already been through? Dr. Mitchell nodded slowly. Potentially, yes, that's why we need you to be absolutely sure about this. Anna looked at Victor, then back at Dr. Mitchell. I'm sure. When do we start? They got Anna settled in a private room with a view of the clinic's gardens. Victor had brought some of her art supplies and photos from home to make it feel more comfortable. Rosa had sent her famous chicken soup in thermoses, and Sister Margaret had sent a prayer blanket made by the children at St. Mary's. The first round of the new treatment hit Anna hard. She was sicker than she'd ever been, barely able to lift her head from the pillow. It's working though, Dr. Mitchell assured them, showing them the latest scan results. The cancer cells are responding exactly as we hoped. Victor spent every moment he could with Anna. When she was too sick to talk, he would read to her from Isabella's journals. When she couldn't sleep, he would tell her stories about her mother. One night, during a particularly rough patch, Anna grabbed Victor's hand. Dad, she whispered, if I don't make it... Don't, Victor said firmly. Don't even think that way. Please let me finish, Anna insisted. If I don't make it, I want you to know that these past months with you, they've been worth everything. Finding you, knowing about Isabella, being loved like this, it's more than I ever dreamed of at the orphanage. Victor felt tears running down his face. You listen to me, Ana Medeiros. You are not going anywhere. You are going to beat this, and we are going to have years and years together. I'm not losing another daughter. Rosa came to stay with them at the clinic, setting up a small kitchen in their suite where she could cook Anna's favorite foods for the days when she felt well enough to eat. You need to take care of yourself too, Rosa told Victor one evening, forcing him to eat a proper dinner. Anna needs you strong. Victor knew she was right, but it was hard to focus on anything except Anna's treatment. He had been running his business from the clinic, taking calls in the hallway, signing papers that his assistant faxed over. Dr. Mitchell was encouraged by Anna's progress, even though the side effects were severe. Her body is fighting hard, she said, and the latest scans show the tumors are shrinking significantly. But then, 6 weeks into the treatment, Anna developed complications. Her heart was showing signs of stress from the powerful drugs. We need to adjust the dosage, Dr. Mitchell explained during an emergency meeting. It's a delicate balance. We need to be aggressive enough to fight the cancer, but not so aggressive that we damage her heart. Victor felt the familiar fear creeping back. Is this what happened with Isabella? He asked Dr. Chen during one of their daily phone consultations. Did we miss something with her heart? No, Dr. Chen assured him. Every case is different, and we're catching this early. Anna still has a real chance. That night, Victor couldn't sleep. He walked the quiet hospital corridors, ending up in the chapel like he had so many times before. But this time, instead of asking why this was happening again, he found himself making plans for the future. He would take Anna to Paris when she was better. She had always wanted to see the art museums there. They would go to the beach house where he and Maria had spent their honeymoon. He would help her start that foundation she talked about to help other children with cancer. When he returned to Anna's room, she was awake, sketching in her notebook. "What are you drawing?" he asked. Anna showed him the page. It was a portrait of Isabella, drawn from the photos she'd seen. But in this drawing, Isabella was smiling, healthy, with angel wings. "I had another dream about her," Anna said. "She was showing me a door, telling me to walk through it, that something good was waiting on the other side." Victor looked at the drawing, remembering how Isabella used to sketch during her treatments too. "Your styles are so similar," he said softly. "But we're different too," Anna said. "And that's okay, right? I can honor her memory without trying to be her." Victor hugged her, carefully mindful of all the tubes and monitors. "You are perfectly you, Anna, and that's exactly who you should be." The next morning, Dr. Mitchell came in with new test results. For the first time in weeks, she was smiling. "The adjustments we made to your treatment are working," she said. "Your heart function is stabilizing, and the cancer cells are continuing to die off. Anna, you're doing it. You're beating this." Anna clutched Isabella's butterfly charm, tears rolling down her face. Really, Dr. Mitchell confirmed. We still have a long way to go, but right now, everything is moving in the right direction. That evening, Victor ordered a small celebration dinner from Anna's favorite restaurant near the clinic. Rosa decorated the room with soft twinkle lights, and they FaceTimed with Sister Margaret so she could join them. As Anna fell asleep that night, Victor heard her whispering to Isabella's photo on her nightstand. "Thank you for watching over me, sister. I promise I'll live enough for both of us." 3 months into the experimental treatment at Mayo Clinic, Anna was strong enough to take short walks in the garden. Victor watched her from a bench, remembering how just a few weeks ago she could barely sit up in bed. "Look, Dad," Anna called out, pointing to a butterfly that had landed on a nearby flower. It was the same metallic blue as the charm she wore around her neck. "Do you think it's a sign?" Victor smiled. "Maybe Isabella sent it to check on you." Dr. Mitchell was pleased with Anna's progress, but careful not to be too optimistic too soon. "The cancer is retreating," she explained during their weekly review. "But we need to stay vigilant. Sometimes these aggressive cancers can hide and come back." Victor knew all too well what she meant. Isabella had seemed to be getting better too, right before things took their final turn. But he pushed those dark thoughts away. Anna's story would be different. Rosa had turned their hospital suite into something that almost felt like home. She had photos everywhere, fresh flowers on the windowsill, and the smell of home cooking always in the air. "You're getting some color back in your cheeks," Rosa said one morning as she helped Anna wash her face. A few wisps of dark hair had started growing back on Anna's head. "Soon you'll be strong enough to help me in the kitchen again." Anna's art. Therapy sessions became the highlight of her week. The hospital had a special program for young patients, and Anna's talent quickly made her a favorite among the staff. "She has a gift," the art therapist told Victor. "The way she uses color to express emotion, it's remarkable." One day, while Anna was painting, a small boy wandered into the art room. He couldn't have been more than 6, and he was clearly a patient. His head was bald like Anna's, and he pulled an IV pole behind him. "That's pretty," he said, pointing to Anna's painting. Anna smiled. "Would you like to paint with me?" The boy nodded eagerly, and soon they were working side by side. Victor watched from the doorway as Anna helped the boy mix colors and showed him how to hold the brush. "His name is Tommy," Anna told Victor later. "He has leukemia. Dad, we have to do something for kids like him. Not everyone has the resources we do." Victor saw the familiar determination in her eyes, the same look Isabella would get when she set her mind to something. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "Remember when I talked about starting a foundation? I want to start planning it now. I know I'm not better yet, but I need to believe I will be. I need something to work toward." That evening, Victor brought his laptop to Anna's room, and they started researching what it would take to set up a charitable foundation. "We'll call it the Isabella and Ana Medeiros Foundation," Anna decided, "for children with cancer who need financial help, especially orphans." As they worked on the foundation plans, Anna's treatment continued. There were good days and bad days. Sometimes the side effects were so severe she could barely move, but she never gave up. Dr. Mitchell started, talking about the possibility of Anna going home soon. "We'll need to continue treatment at your local hospital," she explained, "but you're stable enough now that you don't need to be here full time." The news was exciting, but scary too. "What if something goes wrong?" Victor worried. "We'll set up everything you need at home," Dr. Mitchell assured him, "and I'll coordinate directly with Dr. Chen." One evening, while they were packing some of their things to send home, Anna found a journal she hadn't read before, one of Isabella's last ones. "Dad, listen to this," she said, reading from the journal. "Sometimes I think about all the things I won't get to do. But then I remember that every day I'm alive is a gift, a chance to love and be loved. Maybe that's enough." Victor sat next to Anna on her bed. "Is it enough?" he asked softly. Anna thought for a moment. "No," she said finally. "I want more than that. I want to live, really live. I want to finish school and go to college. I want to be an artist. I want to help other kids through our foundation. I want everything Isabella didn't get to have." "And you will," Victor promised. You'll have all of it. That night, Victor called Sister Margaret to update her on Anna's progress. The children pray for her every day, Sister Margaret said. They made her a welcome home banner. They're so excited to see her again. I was so angry at first, Victor admitted. When I found out about Anna, about the hospital's mistake, all those years we lost. But now I can't help thinking that maybe it happened this way for a reason. What reason? Sister Margaret asked. If Anna had been with us from the beginning, she might have gotten sick at the same time as Isabella. We might have lost them both, but now because of everything we learned from Isabella's illness, we might be able to save Anna. The next morning, Dr. Mitchell came in with more test results. Anna's latest scans showed continued improvement. Your body is responding to the treatment better than we dared hope, she said. If this continues, we might be able to start talking about remission in a few months. Anna grabbed Victor's hand. Did you hear that, Dad? Remission! Victor held her close, feeling her heart beating strong and steady against his chest. They weren't out of the woods yet, but for the first time, since this all began, he let himself really believe that Anna would survive. That afternoon, another butterfly, this one bright yellow, landed on Anna's window. She took it as another sign from Isabella. Yellow means hope, she told Victor. That's what Isabella's art teacher always said. Hope. It was such a small word for such a powerful feeling. But as Victor watched Anna sketching the butterfly, he felt it growing stronger in his heart. His daughter was coming back to life, one day at a time, one small victory at a time. After 6 months at Mayo Clinic, it was finally time to go home. Anna stood at the window of her hospital room one last time, taking in the view of the gardens where she had learned to walk again. Ready? Victor asked, holding her coat. Anna touched Isabella's butterfly charm. Ready. Dr. Mitchell gave them final instructions and hugged Anna goodbye. Remember, any fever over 101, any unusual pain, you come right back. The private jet was waiting to take them home. Rosa had gone ahead to prepare the house, and Sister Margaret was organizing a small welcome party with the children from St. Mary's. During the flight, Anna worked on her laptop, adding more details to their foundation plans. I want to help families travel for treatment, she told Victor. Like we did. Not everyone can afford private jets and long hospital stays. Victor watched her working, amazed by her strength. Her hair was growing back in soft, dark curls, and she had gained back some of the weight she'd lost. She looked more like herself every day. When they landed, a surprise was waiting. The airport's private terminal was decorated with balloons and welcome home signs. Dr. Chen was there, along with nurses from their local hospital. But what made Anna cry was seeing the children from St. Mary's, all holding drawings they'd made for her. "Welcome home, Anna," they shouted. Sister Margaret stepped forward and hugged her tight. "We've missed you so much, dear one." The drive. Home was filled with emotion. As they pulled up to the mansion, Anna gasped. The entire front garden was filled with butterflies, not real ones, but beautiful metal sculptures, painted in bright colors. "Rosa's idea," Victor explained. "The local art school students made them." Inside, everything was ready for Anna's continued recovery. The home care team Dr. Mitchell had arranged was there to help set up her medication schedule. Rosa had prepared all her favorite foods, but Anna wanted to do one thing first. "Can we visit Isabella?" At the cemetery, the autumn leaves were falling just like the day they'd left for Mayo. Anna placed fresh flowers on her sister's grave and touched the headstone gently. "I did it, sister," she whispered. "I'm still here." That night, after everyone had gone home and Anna was settled in her room, Victor sat in his office looking at photos. Pictures of Maria, of Isabella, and now new ones of Anna, smiling, painting, getting stronger. Rosa brought him a cup of coffee. "She's really going to be okay, isn't it?" she asked. "Dr. Mitchell thinks so," Victor said. "The latest tests show no signs of cancer. They'll monitor her closely, but..." He took a shaky breath. "She's going to live, Rosa. My daughter is going to live." The next few weeks were busy with follow-up appointments and planning for the foundation. Anna insisted on being involved in every detail, even when she was tired from her ongoing treatments. "We'll focus on orphan children with cancer first," she explained during a meeting with their lawyers, "then expand to help any child who needs specialized treatment far from home." Victor had never been prouder. His daughter wasn't just surviving, she was using her experience to help others. One morning, Dr. Chen called with news that made Victor's heart soar. Anna's latest scans were completely clear, no sign of cancer anywhere. "It's too early to use the word cured," Dr. Chen cautioned, "but this is the best possible outcome we could have hoped for." Victor rushed to tell Anna, finding her in the garden sketching the butterfly sculptures. "Really?" she asked, tears filling her eyes. "No cancer at all?" "None," Victor confirmed, hugging her tight. "You did it, sweetheart. You really did it." That evening, they had a small celebration dinner. Sister Margaret came, along with Dr. Chen and some of the nurses who had cared for Anna. Even Tommy, the little boy from Mayo Clinic's art therapy, sent a video message from his own treatment. "Da? The foundation approved its first grant today," Anna announced during dinner. "Tommy's family is getting help with their medical bills and travel expenses." Victor raised his glass. "To new beginnings. And to angels watching over us," Anna added, touching her butterfly charm. Later that night, Victor found Anna in Isabella's room. She was placing one of her paintings on the wall next to Isabella's. Two butterflies, one blue, one yellow, flying together. "I used to be afraid to come in here," Anna said, "like I was intruding on her space. But now I feel like she's been with me all along, like she helped me fight." Victor looked at the painting, at the two butterflies soaring together. "She did, and she always will." "Dad," Anna turned to him, "I want to go back to school, real school, not just tutoring. I want to apply to art college. She took a deep breath. "I want to live my life, really live it." Victor felt tears in his eyes. These were words he never thought he'd hear again after losing Isabella. Words that filled his heart with joy and terror at the same time. "Are you sure you're strong enough?" he asked. Anna smiled, that brave, beautiful smile that reminded him so much of both her mother and her sister. "I'm stronger than I've ever been, and I have you and Rosa and everyone else to help me. Plus," she touched her charm, "I have my own guardian angel." Victor looked out the window at the garden full of butterfly sculptures, shining in the moonlight. Somewhere, he was sure, Isabella was watching over them, smiling at her sister's strength and courage. The nightmare was over. His daughter was healthy, happy, and looking toward the future. And though he would always miss Isabella with all his heart, he knew now that love never really dies. It just transforms, like a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis into something new and beautiful. 1 year after Anna's return from Mayo Clinic, the Medeiros mansion was filled with people again. But this time they weren't there for medical consultations or treatment plans. They were there to celebrate the grand opening of the Isabella and Anna Medeiros Foundation was taking place in the garden, under a canopy surrounded by the now famous butterfly sculptures. Anna, healthy and strong at 17, stood at the podium, her dark curls grown long again. "Today isn't just about opening a foundation," she began, looking out at the crowd. "It's about keeping a promise to my sister Isabella, who I never met but who has been with me every step of my journey." Victor sat in the front row between Rosa and Sister Margaret, remembering how close he had come to losing everything. Now, watching Anna speak, with such confidence and passion, he could hardly believe how far they'd come. "Every child deserves a chance to fight," Anna continued. "Every family deserves hope. That's why our foundation will provide not just financial support, but emotional support, travel assistance, and a network of people who understand what it means to face cancer." In the audience, families from Mayo Clinic were there, including Tommy and his parents. The little boy was in remission now too, his hair grown back, his smile bright. He had become the foundation's first success story. Dr. Mitchell had flown in for the ceremony, along with Dr. Chen and many of the nurses who had cared for both Anna and Isabella. Even Dr. Henderson, the doctor who had separated the twins at birth, had come, older now, carrying the weight of his past mistakes, but grateful to see some good come from them. After the ceremony, as guests mingled in the garden, Victor found Anna standing by her favorite butterfly sculpture, a large blue, one that seemed to dance in the breeze. "Your mother would be so proud of you," he said. "Both of you." Anna smiled. "I've been thinking about her a lot lately, about how losing her led to losing Isabella, but also to finding me. How sometimes the worst moments in our lives can lead to the most beautiful ones." Victor looked around the garden. Children from St. Mary's were playing among the sculptures. Parents of sick children were talking with foundation staff, finding hope in the resources being offered. It was everything Isabella had dreamed of. Doing, helping others, spreading joy, making a difference. "Next week I start my senior year," Anna said. "And guess what? The art teacher said my portfolio is strong enough for any college I want to apply to." Victor felt his heart swell with pride. They had missed so many years together, but now they had a future full of possibilities. Rosa called them over to cut the foundation's opening cake. As they walked across the lawn, a real butterfly, bright yellow like the one from the hospital, landed on Anna's shoulder. "Hello, sister," Anna whispered, smiling. That evening, after all the guests had gone home, Victor found Anna in Isabella's room. Over the past year, it had become a shared space. Isabella's paintings on one wall, Anna's on another, their styles different but complementary. "I had another idea for the foundation," Anna said. "I want to start an art therapy program like the one at Mayo. Help kids express their feelings through painting." "Isabella would love that," Victor said. "Dad," Anna turned to him, Do you think everything happened the way it was supposed to? Even the hard parts?" Victor thought about it, about losing Maria, about raising Isabella alone, about the years of not knowing he had another daughter, about losing Isabella, finding Anna, and almost losing her too. "I think life gives us what we need, when we need it," he said finally. "Even if we don't understand it at the time." Anna hugged him tight. "I'm glad I found you, even if it took 16 years. "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." Later that night, Victor stood in his office, looking at the 3 photos on his desk: Maria, Isabella, and Hannah. His family, broken and rebuilt, lost and found. The foundation would help hundreds of children, maybe thousands. Anna would go to college, pursue her dreams, live the life Isabella couldn't. And somewhere, he knew Maria and Isabella were watching. Over them, their love as present and powerful as ever. Outside, the garden of butterfly sculptures glowed softly in the moonlight. Each one represented a child, helped by the foundation, a family given hope, a life touched by love. Victor thought about the strange path that had led them here, how grief had turned to joy, how loss had led to finding, how the end of one story had become the beginning of another. Anna's voice called from downstairs. "Dad, Rosa made hot chocolate. Come down." Victor smiled, touching each photo on his desk gently. "Thank you," he whispered to Maria and Isabella. "Thank you for sending her back to me." Then he went downstairs to join his daughter, ready to embrace whatever new adventures life had in store for them. Because now he understood, love never dies. It just transforms, like a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis, spreading its wings to touch new lives, in beautiful and unexpected ways. And in that transformation, we find the strength to go on, to love again, to believe in miracles. The end.